Tonight, we are going to walk toward a hill that should not exist. We are traveling to the plains of central China, just outside the city of Xi'an. If you stood there today, you would see a mound of earth covered in pomegranate trees, rising against the gray sky. It looks quiet. It looks natural. But it is neither. Beneath that hill lies a silence that has lasted for 2,200 years. Beneath the roots of the pomegranates lies a city that was built for the dead. A copy of the universe carved in stone and filled with rivers of liquid metal. We are talking about the final resting place of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor. The man who united China with blood and iron. Modern archaeologists know exactly where it is. They have mapped it with ground-penetrating radar. They have measured the soil and found it screaming with radiation. But they will not open it. They say it is to preserve the artifacts. But there is another reason, a darker reason. They are afraid of what is inside. They are afraid of the trap. Tonight, we are not going to wait for the archaeologists. We are going to dig. We are going to walk back in time, into the tunnels, before the air was poisonous, before the doors were sealed. We are going to see how the trap was built. So, before the darkness closes in, take a moment to signal that you are here. Leave a like to mark your entrance into the tomb, and subscribe if you are brave enough to explore the history that others are too afraid to touch. And tell me in the comments, if you found a map to a lost world, would you have the courage to open the door? It helps to know who is walking beside me in the dark. Now, take a moment to find a comfortable place. Make sure the air around you is fresh, because where we are going, the air is heavy with dust and death. Dim the lights. Adjust your pillow. Let the world above ground fade away. Let's descend into the earth. Picture this. It is the year 215 before the Common Era. You are a man of the Qin state, but you are not a soldier in armor. You are not a scholar in silk robes. You are a pair of hands. You are a back strong enough to carry stone, and in the eyes of the emperor, that is all you are. You live in a time of absolute, crushing order. The law of the Qin is harsh, precise, and terrifying. It is a machine that grinds human beings into compliance. If you steal a coin, you lose a foot. If you speak against the state, you lose your tongue. If you are late for your labor duty, you lose your life. There is no gray area. There is no mercy. There is only obedience or death. The summons arrives in the dead of winter. It is not a request. It is a demand for your flesh. The emperor is building his home for the afterlife. He has been building it since he was a boy of 13. But now, as he grows older, as the fear of death begins to hunt him, the urgency has turned into a frenzy. He needs more men. He needs you. You leave your village. You join a river of humanity flowing toward Mount Li. You are not alone. There are criminals in chains, their heads shaved, their faces branded with the red marks of their crimes. There are debtors who have sold their bodies to pay what they owe. There are farmers like you, conscripted by the turn of a lottery wheel. Historians will later write that 700,000 men worked on this tomb. 700,000. That is not a construction crew. That is a migration. That is more people than the population of most cities in the world at that time. It is an army without weapons, marching toward a war against the earth itself. You walk for weeks. The wind from the Gobi Desert cuts through your thin tunic, carrying grit that settles in your eyes and grinds between your teeth. You sleep on the frozen ground, huddled together with strangers for warmth. You do not speak much. In the Qin Dynasty, silence is safer than speech. You just walk, watching the cracked heels of the man in front of you, listening to the endless shuffle of sandals on the hard earth. And then you see it. Mount Li. It rises from the plain like a sleeping beast, but as you get closer, you realize that the shape is too perfect. The slopes are too even. This is not a mountain born of tectonic plates and time. This is a mountain built by baskets of dirt. Basket by basket, carried on the backs of men like you, piled up to crush the sky. You are not going to the top, you are going underneath. The entrance to the worksite is a wound in the earth. It is a massive ramp that slopes down into the dark. Torches burn along the walls, casting long, flickering shadows that dance like spirits. The air coming out of the tunnel is different from the winter air outside. It is warmer. It is humid. It smells of wet earth, unwashed bodies, and the metallic tang of bronze being sharpened. You step onto the ramp. You begin the descent. The light of the sun fades behind you. The blue square of the sky grows smaller and smaller until it is just a memory, a tiny window into a world you used to know. You are entering a world of artificial light. The tunnel is wide enough for 4 chariots to ride abreast. The walls are reinforced with heavy timber beams, logs as thick as ancient trees, holding up the weight of the mountain above. You can feel that weight. It presses on your eardrums. It sits on your shoulders. You are walking into a grave that hasn't been closed yet. The noise is overwhelming. It is not loud in the way a battle is loud. It is a constant, grinding hum. The sound of thousands of chisels striking stone, the sound of wooden wheels rolling over dirt, the sound of whips cracking against skin, the sound of men coughing, a dry, hacking cough that echoes off the walls. The air is thick with dust. It coats your throat. It turns your snot black. You wrap a rag around your face, but you can still taste the stone. You are assigned a task. You are to carry blocks of limestone from the quarry to the inner sanctum. The blocks are heavy. They strain your muscles until they tremble. You lift. You carry. You set down. You turn back. You do it again. You lose track of time. There is no day or night down here. There are only the shifts. You sleep in barracks dug into the side of the tunnels, sleeping on straw that is infested with lice. You eat millet gruel that tastes of dirt. You work until your hands are blistered, and then you work until the blisters break and calluses form over the blood. You realize that you are building a city. This is not just a hole in the ground. It is a metropolis. There are towers. There are palaces. There are administrative offices. All of them are underground. All of them are waiting for a ghost to inhabit them. You look at the faces of the men around you. They are gaunt. Their eyes are hollow. They know what you know. They know that this place is a secret, and the emperor is a man who keeps his secrets very well. You wonder, in the quiet moments before sleep takes you, if you will ever walk back up that ramp. You wonder if you are building the walls that will eventually hold you in. Months turn into years. You have moved deeper into the complex. You are no longer hauling rough stone. You have proven yourself to be careful, steady. You have been moved to the detail crews. You are working on the ceiling of the central chamber. This is the heart of the tomb. The scale of it is impossible to comprehend. You stand on a wooden scaffolding, 50 feet in the air, looking up at the stone vault. The emperor did not just want a palace, he wanted the universe. The ceiling is painted a deep, dark blue. It is the color of the night sky over the steps. But the stars are not paint. Your job is to set the stars. You hold a pearl in your hand. It is large, lustrous, the color of the moon. It came from the South China Sea, carried thousands of miles to end up here, in the dark. You place it into a small socket carved into the stone. You secure it with resin. You look around. There are thousands of pearls. They are arranged in the precise constellations of the heavens. The Great Bear, the Dragon, the Pleiades. The emperor wants to look up from his coffin and see the same sky he saw from his throne. He wants to take the heavens with him. It is beautiful. It is breathtaking. And it is terrifying. The hubris of it chills you. To capture the stars and bury them under the earth feels like a crime against nature. You look down from your scaffolding. The floor of the chamber is vast. In the torchlight, you can see the layout. It is a map of the empire. You can see the mountains carved into the floor. You can see the valleys. And you can see the deep channels carved where the great rivers should be. The Yellow River, the Yangtze. They are empty now, deep scars in the stone, waiting for the liquid that will fill them. To get to this chamber, you had to walk past the outer perimeter. You saw the armies, the Terracotta Warriors. You walked past the pits where they stand, rows and rows of them. Thousands of soldiers made of clay. They are life-sized. No, they are larger than life. They are tall, imposing, armored. The thing that haunts you is their faces. They are not identical. Every single one is different. You looked into the eyes of a clay archer, and you swore you recognized him. You looked at the mustache of a general, the curve of his ear, the wrinkles on his forehead. They were modeled on real men. In the flickering torchlight, they seemed to move. The shadows dance across their painted faces, because they are painted. Bright reds, blues, greens, and purples. They look like a living army frozen in time by a sorcerer's spell. They are waiting. They are holding bronze swords and crossbows that are sharp enough to kill. You tried not to look at them as you passed. You felt their eyes on your back. You felt that they were judging you. They are the guardians. They are the eternal watch. And you are just a worker, a flea crawling through their barracks. But here, in the inner sanctum, the atmosphere is different. The warriors were imposing, but they were human. Here, the air feels charged with something else. Something divine, something toxic. The air is colder here. The ventilation shafts are deep and narrow. The silence is heavier. When you drop a tool, the echo lasts for seconds, bouncing off the hard stone walls. You are working next to the artisans who are crafting the furniture. You see a throne made of jade. You see musical instruments made of gold wire. You see silk robes so fine they float on the stagnant air. You are surrounded by more wealth than you could earn in 1,000 lifetimes. A single one of these pearls could feed your village for a generation. But here, they are just decoration. They are just dust. You feel a sense of trespass. You are not supposed to be here. No living man is supposed to be here. This is a space carved out of the earth for a dead god. You feel the weight of the earth above you, millions of tons of soil pressing down on the stone arch. You feel the crushing pressure of the emperor's will. You finish setting the star. You climb down the scaffolding. Your legs are shaking. As you walk across the floor, you notice the channels again, the empty riverbeds carved into the map. You see men bringing in large ceramic vessels. They are sealed with clay and wax. They are heavy. It takes 2 men to carry 1 jar. The men carrying them are wearing thick cloth masks over their faces. They look frightened. You ask one of them what is inside. He does not speak. He just looks at the jar with wide, terrified eyes. You catch a whiff of something as they pass. It is not the smell of wine or oil. It is a sharp, metallic smell. It tastes like copper in your mouth. It makes your head spin. You realize that the construction is entering its final phase. The structure is built. The stars are set. The army is ready. Now, they are bringing in the blood of the tomb. They are bringing the poison. You walk back to your barracks, through the maze of corridors. You pass the false doors. You pass the dead ends designed to confuse thieves. You realize that you know the way out now. But soon, the layout will change. Soon, the final touches will be added. You lie down on your straw mat. You close your eyes. But you can still see the pearls staring down at you like cold, unblinking eyes. You can still smell that metallic scent. You know that the tomb is changing. It is no longer just a construction site. It is becoming a machine. A machine designed to keep people out. Or perhaps, a machine designed to keep people in. You have moved from the ceiling to the walls. The stars are set above you, frozen in their eternal, unblinking positions. Now you must secure the earth below. You must turn the hallways into a weapon. You are assigned to the Hall of Weapons. But this is not an armory. An armory is where soldiers come to equip themselves for battle. An armory is a place of life and activity. This is a battery. This is a static machine built for slaughter. You stand before a mechanism that looks like a nightmare of engineering. It is a crossbow, but it is not like the simple wooden ones you carried when you were a village militia guard, the kind that rotted in the rain or snapped in the frost. This is made of bronze. It is heavy, cold, and intricate. It is built to outlast the dynasty itself. The emperor's engineers have designed something that defies the decay of time. They know that wood warps. They know that hemp strings fray and snap after a few years of tension. So they have built these sentinels out of metal, lacquer, and grease. You are holding a trigger mechanism in your hands. It is a complex assembly of interlocking bronze gears and levers, cast with a precision that seems impossible for human hands. Your job is to install it into the wall. The niche is carved deep into the limestone, hidden in the shadows of the corridor, masked by the intricate painting of a cloud. You slide the bronze housing into the stone. It fits perfectly. The precision required is terrifying. If it is too loose, the aim will be true, but the mount will rattle. If it is too tight, the mechanism will jam after a century of sitting still. You work with a cloth soaked in rendered animal fat. You grease every moving part. You coat the gears in a thick, viscous layer of oil that smells of tallow. This oil is not just for lubrication. It is a seal. It is designed to keep the air out, to prevent the bronze from oxidizing, to keep the trap waiting in a state of suspended animation. You are greasing the joints of a killer that might not wake up for 1,000 years. Then comes the bow itself. It is a massive arc of composite material, reinforced with bronze ribs. To string it requires a winch. You and 3 other men turn the crank, sweating in the cool air, your muscles straining against the resistance. The string is not hemp. It is a cable of twisted silk and animal sinew, soaked in layer after layer of lacquer to make it waterproof, to make it hard as wire. You watch the bow bend. You hear the groan of the materials under tension. It is a sound of stored violence. You are winding up a spring that is holding its breath. The tension in the air is palpable. If the winch slips, the recoil will take your head off. You work in silence, breathing through your nose, your eyes locked on the task. You treat the machine with more respect than you treat your own father. Once the bow is spanned, you load the bolt. The bolt is a masterpiece of malice. It is not a simple arrow. It is a heavy bronze rod, tipped with a triangular head that is sharpened to a razor edge. But there is something strange about the metal. It shines with a dull, gray, ghostly luster. The engineers have coated the bronze in a layer of chromium oxide. It is a technology that should not exist, a chemical secret that prevents rust. These bolts will not corrode. They will not dull. They will sit in the dark, century after century, remaining as sharp as the day they were cast. They are immune to time. You place the bolt in the groove. You connect the trigger to the tripwire. Now the trap is live. You step back slowly, placing your feet with extreme care. You are standing in front of a loaded weapon that has no conscience. It does not know you are the builder. It does not know you are loyal. It only knows that if the tripwire is pulled, it must release. The tripwires are thin strips of silk, painted black to vanish in the dark. They are connected to pressure plates in the floor. You have to walk over them to finish your work. You have to step on the safe stones, avoiding the death stones. It is a dance where one misstep means a bronze rod through your chest. You realize the cruelty of the design. These crossbows are not placed in the open. They are hidden behind tapestries, recessed into the walls, concealed in the mouths of stone dragons. They are aimed at the height of a man's chest. They are aimed at the heart. You look down the long, dim corridor. You see rows of them. Hundreds of bronze eyes staring into the dark. They are the sleepless sentinels. They do not need food. They do not need rest. They do not need to be paid. They will wait. They will wait for the grave robbers. They will wait for the curious. They will wait for the armies of the future. They will wait for anyone who dares to disturb the emperor's sleep. You feel a chill that has nothing to do with the temperature of the tomb. You are building a machine that is designed to murder the future. You imagine a man, 1,000 years from now, walking where you are walking. He will be holding a torch. He will be looking at the gold on the walls. He will be thinking of riches. He will not see the thin black line in the dust. He will step. And the last thing he will ever hear is the sudden, sharp release of a spring that has been waiting since before his great-grandfather was born. The tomb is not just a room. It is a maze. It is a psychological weapon carved out of rock. As you work deeper into the complex, installing the final countermeasures, you begin to lose your sense of direction. The architects have designed the layout to confuse, to disorient, to trap. The corridors do not run straight. They curve imperceptibly. They double back on themselves. They lead to dead ends where the ceiling slopes down to meet the floor, forcing you to crawl until you are stuck. You are carrying a crate of bolts to the northern sector. You walk down a hallway that looks identical to the one you just left. The walls are smooth limestone, painted with murals of the emperor's conquests. You see horses, chariots, burning cities. The paintings are vibrant, the colors made from crushed minerals, cinnabar for red, azurite for blue. The eyes of the painted soldiers seem to follow you. But the beauty is a distraction. The art is bait. The floor beneath your feet is a puzzle. Some of the stone tiles are solid. They rest on bedrock. But others are balanced on pivots. They are flipboards. They look exactly the same as the solid stones. The dust covers the seams. If you step on the center, they hold. If you step on the edge, they tilt. Beneath them is not just a floor. Beneath them is a pit. And lining the pit are upturned spikes of iron and bronze. You know the pattern because you watched the masons lay them. You count your steps. 1, 2, skip. 1, 2, skip. It becomes a rhythm of survival. But you know that in the dark, without the pattern, without the memory of the construction, a man would stand no chance. The geometry of the tomb is designed to channel intruders into the kill zones. The false corridors lead to the pits. The true corridors lead to the crossbows. It is a funnel of death. Every choice is a bad choice. Every path leads to pain. You stop to rest near a junction. The air is stagnant here. The ventilation shafts are being sealed off one by one as the work completes. The oxygen is getting thin. You feel a heaviness in your chest, a dull ache behind your eyes. You imagine the intruder again. You try to put yourself in his mind. He will be terrified. The silence will be pressing in on him, heavier than the earth above. He will be jumping at shadows. He will see the glimmer of gold at the end of a hallway. It will call to him. Greed will overcome caution. He will run toward it. And then, the iron rain. The crossbows are not designed to fire once. They are repeating crossbows, the Lian Nu. A magazine of 10 bolts sits on top of the mechanism. When the first bolt flies, the recoil resets the string and drops the next bolt into the groove. It is an automatic weapon born in the age of bronze. It will not be a single shot. It will be a storm. You can almost hear the sound it will make. The snap of the string, the whistle of the bolt cutting the stagnant air, the wet thud of impact, the cry of surprise cut short. There is no honor in this. This is not a duel between warriors. This is not a battlefield. It is an execution carried out by a machine. You look at the walls. They seem to be closing in. You realize that the emperor is not just afraid of thieves. He is afraid of everyone. He is afraid of the living. He wants to create a space where life is forbidden. He wants to create a vacuum where only he exists. The layout reflects his paranoia. There are walls within walls, gates within gates. The inner coffin is surrounded by a river of mercury, which is surrounded by the crossbows, which is surrounded by the army of clay, which is buried under a mountain of dirt. He is wrapping himself in layers of danger, like a silkworm in a cocoon. You finish loading the magazine on the last bow. You grease the final gear. You wipe your hands on your tunic. The oil leaves a dark stain that will never wash out. As you walk back toward the barracks, traversing the safe stones, you pass a group of workers installing a massive stone door. It is a locking stone door. It is a slab of granite weighing tons. Once it closes, stone pins will drop from the lintel into holes in the door, sealing it from the inside. It cannot be opened from the outside without destroying the mountain. You look at the mechanism. You see how the pins are held up by wooden props. When the time comes, someone will have to pull those props. Someone will have to be inside to lock the door. A cold realization washes over you. It starts in your stomach and spreads to your limbs. The traps are not just for intruders. They are for anyone who knows the secrets. The geometry of death includes you. You are not just the builder of the trap. You are the bait. You are the loose end that must be tied off. You walk faster, trying to get back to the main ramp, trying to see the light of the torches that lead to the surface. But the corridors seem longer than they did this morning. The shadows seem deeper. The painted eyes of the soldiers on the walls seem to mock your hope. You are in the belly of a machine that is slowly winding itself up, and you are beginning to suspect that there is no exit key. You leave the corridors of the crossbows and descend even further. You are walking down a spiral ramp cut into the bedrock, moving toward the very center of the mountain. The air gets colder with every step, but it also gets heavier. It tastes different here. It tastes sharp. It tastes like a storm is coming. You step out into the central chamber. If the ceiling was the universe, the floor is the world. The architects have carved the geography of the empire into the stone floor. It is a scale model of the Qin dominion, stretching out for hundreds of yards in the flickering torchlight. You see the mountain ranges, raised ridges of jagged limestone. You see the valleys, smooth and polished. You see the cities, marked by tiny models of palaces and walls. But the most striking feature is the water, or rather, the empty channels where the water should be. Deep grooves have been cut into the floor, winding their way across the map. They represent the great arteries of China, the Yellow River in the north, thick with silt, the Yangtze in the south, deep and powerful, and to the east, a vast depression carved out to represent the great ocean. They are waiting for the liquid. You are part of the bucket brigade. You are standing in a line of men that stretches back to the surface. You are passing heavy ceramic jars from hand to hand. The jars are sealed with wax, but you can feel the contents moving inside. It shifts with a strange momentum. When a jar is handed to you, your arms sag. It is shockingly heavy. It feels heavier than stone, heavier than iron. It feels dense, as if it contains the gravity of a dying star. It takes two hands to hold it steady. You carry the jar to the edge of the carved riverbed. An overseer nods. You break the wax seal. You tilt the jar. The liquid that pours out is not water. It does not splash. It does not sparkle. It is silver. It is opaque. It moves with a slow, heavy viscosity, rolling over itself like molten glass. Mercury. The alchemists call it quicksilver. They say it is the blood of the dragon. They say it is the substance of immortality. The emperor believes that by surrounding himself with this liquid metal, he can preserve his power forever. He believes he can sail his spirit boat down these silver rivers into the afterlife. You watch it hit the stone channel. It beads up. It refuses to soak into the rock. It gathers into a single, shimmering pool that reflects the torchlight with a perfect, distortion-free clarity. It looks like a mirror that has been melted down. It looks alien. You pour jar after jar. The river begins to rise. It begins to flow. But a river needs a current. A river needs to move. And the Emperor's engineers have solved this too. Hidden beneath the floor, in the dark undergalleries where the air is even thinner, are the machines. You can hear them. A low, rhythmic thrumming sound that vibrates through the soles of your sandals. They are mechanical pumps, driven by gears and levers, perhaps powered by hidden water wheels, or the endless labor of unseen men turning cranks in the dark. These pumps suck the mercury from the ocean at the east of the map and push it back up to the mountains in the west. It is a closed loop, a perpetual cycle. You watch as the silver liquid begins to move on its own. It flows down the carved channel of the Yellow River. It swirls around the miniature bends. It cascades over tiny stone waterfalls with a heavy, silent grace. It does not sound like water. Water laughs. Mercury whispers. It makes a heavy, sloshing sound, dense and threatening. It sounds like something thick moving in the dark. The chamber fills with a strange, silvery light. The mercury reflects the stars on the ceiling. The universe above is mirrored in the poison below. It is the most beautiful thing you have ever seen. It is a world of pure light and shadow, stripped of color, stripped of life. It is perfection. You stare at it, hypnotized. The liquid metal seems to be alive. It trembles with the vibration of the pumps. It pulses. You feel a strange urge to touch it, to dip your finger into that cool, perfect surface. It looks so clean. It looks so pure. But you do not touch it, because you have seen the men who handle the mercury directly. You have seen the men down by the pumps. They are changing. Their skin is turning gray. Their teeth are falling out. They shake, not from cold, but from a damage that lives deep in their nerves. You realize that this river is not just a map. It is a moat. It is a barrier of pure toxicity designed to separate the emperor from the living world. He is building an island of death, and you are standing on the shore, watching the tide come in. As the rivers fill, the atmosphere in the chamber changes. Mercury is not just a liquid, it is a volatile element. Even in the cool air of the tomb, it evaporates. It turns into an invisible, odorless vapor that rises from the surface of the silver ocean and fills the space. The air becomes saturated. The ventilation shafts are closed. The tomb is sealing itself. You cannot smell it, not exactly. It doesn't smell like rot or sulfur. It smells metallic. It tastes like you have a copper coin sitting on your tongue. It creates a prickly sensation in the back of your throat, a dryness that water cannot cure. It stings the corners of your eyes. You are breathing it in. With every inhalation, the heavy metal atoms are entering your lungs. They are crossing into your bloodstream. They are traveling to your brain. At first, you just feel tired. A heavy, lethargic fatigue that makes your limbs feel like lead. You think it is just the work. You think it is just the lack of sunlight. You think you just need sleep. But then, the other symptoms begin. You notice it in your hands first. You are trying to tie the strap of your sandal, but your fingers won't obey. They tremble. It is a fine, rhythmic tremor. You look at your hand, and it is shaking as if you are old, as if you are afraid. But you are not afraid. Your nerves are misfiring. The mercury is eating the myelin sheaths of your neurons. It is short-circuiting your body. Then comes the emotional change, the paranoia. In the barracks at night, the men have stopped talking. They sit in the corners, eyeing each other with suspicion. You feel it too. You feel like everyone is watching you. You feel like the man sleeping next to you is plotting to steal your ration of millet. You feel like the Terracotta Warriors outside are whispering your name. This is the Mad Hatter's disease, though that name won't exist for another 2,000 years. It is erethism, mercury poisoning. It dissolves the mind before it destroys the body. It takes your sanity. You find yourself weeping for no reason. You find yourself giggling at the darkness. The logic of the world is breaking down. One day, while working near the banks of the Silver Yangtze, you see a man collapse. He doesn't fall like a man fainting. He falls rigidly, his body seizing up. He foams at the mouth. The other workers step back, terrified. They think he is possessed by a demon. They think the spirit of the emperor has struck him down. But it is not a demon. It is the air. The air itself has become a weapon. You look up at the ceiling, at the pearl stars. They seem to be spinning. The silver river seems to be rising, turning into a dragon that coils around the chamber. You rub your eyes, and they burn. Your vision is blurring at the edges, tunneling down. You realize the genius of the trap. The emperor does not need to kill intruders with arrows. He does not need to crush them with rocks. He just needs to wait. If a tomb raider manages to bypass the crossbows, if he manages to navigate the maze, he will arrive here. He will see the silver rivers. He will breathe the air. He will be mesmerized by the beauty. He will stay too long. And the vapor will take him. It will drive him mad. He will die hallucinating, clawing at his own skin, surrounded by wealth he cannot spend. But there is another purpose to the mercury, a purpose that chills you even more than the poison. You look at the body of the worker who collapsed. No one moves him. He lies on the stone floor, and you realize he will not rot. Mercury is a biocide. It kills bacteria. It kills mold. It kills the tiny organisms that cause decay. This chamber is sterile. It is a dead zone. The emperor wanted to preserve his body for eternity. He didn't just want a coffin. He wanted a preservative atmosphere. He wanted to stop time. In this room, flesh will not decay. Silk will not disintegrate. Wood will not rot. Everything here will remain exactly as it is, frozen in a silver stasis forever, including you. If you die down here, you will not return to the dust. You will simply dry out. You will become a statue of leather and bone, preserving the moment of your death for 10,000 years. You will be a permanent fixture in the emperor's court. You look at your trembling hands. You look at the silver river flowing endlessly, powered by the invisible machines. You realize you are standing in a jar of formaldehyde the size of a city. The air is thick. The taste of copper is unbearable. You need to leave. You need fresh air. You feel a sudden, desperate panic to get away from the silver ocean. You drop your tools. You turn toward the exit corridor. But as you walk, you notice something. The flow of workers has changed. No one is coming down anymore. Everyone is moving up. The jars have stopped coming. The work is done. The rivers are full. The trap is set. The atmosphere is primed. And now, the final phase begins. The closing of the door. The day finally comes, or at least, you think it is day. Down here, time is measured only by the ache in your bones and the level of oil in the lamps. The emperor is dead. You heard the rumors first, whispered by the guards. Then you heard the wailing, a sound like a great wind moving through the tunnels, the collective cry of 100,000 men. The dragon has fallen. The Son of Heaven has returned to the earth. The coffin arrives. It is a bronze sarcophagus, vast and heavy, carried by a chariot with wheels wrapped in leather to muffle the sound. It is moved into the central chamber, floating on the river of Mercury. It is set adrift on the silver ocean, ready to sail the cosmos you built for him. The work is done. The noise of the chisels stops. The dust begins to settle for the first time in 30 years. You feel a profound sense of relief. It is over. You have survived the labor. You have survived the dust. You have survived the mercury. You are going home. You picture your village. You picture the rice paddies. You picture the face of a woman who might not remember you, but whom you have never forgotten. The order comes to retreat. All artisans to the middle tunnel, the officers shout. Receive your reward. You join the stream of workers walking away from the center. You pass the river of mercury. You pass the crossbows. You pass the terracotta army, their painted faces stoic in the torchlight. You reach the middle gate. It is a massive set of stone doors, carved with protective demons. You walk through them. You are in the long corridor leading to the surface. You can see the faint gray light of the outside world far ahead at the top of the ramp. It looks like a star. It looks like freedom. But then, the rhythm changes. The line of men stops. You bump into the back of the man in front of you. A ripple of confusion moves through the crowd. Why have we stopped? Then you hear it. It is a sound deeper than thunder. It is the sound of the earth grinding its teeth. The inner gate, the one you just passed, begins to move. It slides shut. It does not slam, it grinds. Stone against stone. A seal meant to last forever. Panic begins to rise, a cold tide in the tunnel. But you tell yourself it is fine. They are sealing the emperor in. That is the ritual. You are on the outside of that gate. You are safe. But the grinding does not stop. You look ahead toward the light, and you see it. The middle gate. The gate stands between you and the exit. It is moving. Massive stone pins, held up by wooden props, are released. The props are pulled away by soldiers standing in the shadows. The pins drop. The huge stone slabs begin to descend. You run. Everyone runs. The order and discipline of the Qin evaporate in a single heartbeat. 700,000 men push forward, a wave of desperation crashing against the tunnel walls. You trample over others. You scream, but your voice is lost in the roar of the closing stone. You are too slow. You are all too slow. The middle gate seals with a final earth-shaking thud. The lock clicks into place. A mechanism designed by your own colleagues, built by your own hands, has just sealed your fate. You pound on the stone. You tear at it with your fingernails until they break. You scream until your throat bleeds. But the stone does not care. It is 3 feet thick. It is reinforced with iron. It is not a door anymore. It is a wall. And then, the torches begin to go out. The soldiers who pulled the props are gone. They have retreated to the outer gate and sealed that too. You are trapped in the space between the worlds. You are not in the burial chamber with the emperor, and you are not on the surface with the living. You are in the throat of the tomb. You realize the truth. It was never a construction site. It was a vault. And you are not a worker. You are a grave good. You are a sacrifice. The emperor did not just want his treasures buried with him. He wanted the secret of the tomb buried too. He wanted the map of the traps to die with the men who set them. You sit down in the dirt. The panic drains away, replaced by a numbness that is colder than the mercury. The light at the end of the tunnel is gone. There is only the flickering of the last few lamps, struggling against the thinning air. The darkness is absolute. It is not the darkness of a moonless night. In the world above, there is always some light, starlight, the glow of a distant fire, the adjustment of your own eyes. Here, there is nothing. Your eyes strain, searching for a photon, for a shape, for anything. But there is only the void. You hold your hand in front of your face, and you see nothing. You are blind. The silence should be heavy, but it is not silent. It is filled with the sound of breathing. Thousands of men are breathing in the dark, shallow, terrified breaths. You can hear the man next to you weeping softly. You can hear someone praying to ancestors who cannot hear them through the mountain. You can hear the shuffle of cloth as people settle onto the ground to wait. Waiting for what? You are waiting for the air to run out. The tomb is sealed airtight. The emperor wanted to preserve his body, so he ensured no fresh air could enter. The oxygen is limited. With every breath you take, you are consuming the dwindling supply. With every breath you exhale, you are filling the space with carbon dioxide. The air begins to grow warm. It is the heat of thousands of living bodies pressed together. It becomes stifling. It smells of sweat, of fear, and of the mercury vapor seeping from the inner chamber. You feel sleepy. That is the mercy of the carbon dioxide. It does not hurt like the mercury. It makes your limbs heavy. It slows your thoughts. It dulls the panic. You think about the trap you built. You think about the crossbows waiting in the dark. You realize that you are safe from them. You will never trigger them. You are the only intruder who will ever see this place, and you will never leave. The hunger returns, but it is distant now. The thirst is a dry sandpaper in your throat, but it doesn't matter. You start to hallucinate. In the velvet darkness you see shapes. You see the pearl stars from the ceiling floating down to guide you. You see the river of mercury flowing uphill, carrying a boat made of light. You see the emperor standing before you, not as a tyrant, but as a host, welcoming you to his eternal court. You realize that you are becoming part of the legend. Your bones will lie here for eternity. 2,000 years from now, if the gate is ever opened, you will be the first thing they see. You are the guardian. You are the secret. Your breathing slows. It becomes a conscious effort to pull the heavy, stale air into your lungs. Your heart beats slowly. Thump, thump, thump. You reach out in the dark and find the hand of the stranger sitting next to you. You do not know his name. You do not know his face, but you grip his hand. He grips yours back. It is the last human connection you will ever have. The darkness enters you. It fills your mouth, your lungs, your mind. You are not dying. You are turning to stone. You are becoming a terracotta warrior of flesh and blood. The silence grows. One by one, the breathing stops. The weeping stops. The prayers stop. And finally, there is only the silence, the perfect, heavy, eternal silence of the tomb. The trap is closed. The secret is safe. The emperor sleeps, and you sleep with him, a loyal servant at the foot of the throne, waiting for a morning that will never come. And now we leave the darkness behind. We ascend the ramp, past the sealed gates, through the layers of earth, and back into the light. Imagine standing on that hill today, outside Xi'an. The air is cool and gray. Pomegranate trees grow on the mound, their roots reaching down into the poisoned soil. The fruit they bear is small and bitter, laced with mercury, a warning from the trees to the living. The archaeologists are still there, watching, measuring, waiting. They know what is down there. They have seen the rivers of metal on their scanners. They have detected the anomalies that suggest the crossbows are still there, waiting in the dark, their bronze triggers greased and ready. The tomb of the first emperor remains the greatest unopened time capsule in human history. It is a perfect trap. It has defeated armies, grave robbers, and even modern science. It has kept its secret. And perhaps that is how it should be. Some doors are not meant to be opened. Some ghosts are not meant to be disturbed. The 700,000 men who built that city of dust paid for its silence with their lives. To open it now would be to break the final seal of their sacrifice. Take a deep breath. Feel the fresh air filling your lungs. Feel the space around you. You are not trapped. You are not underground. You are free. Tonight, we walked into the ultimate trap, and we walked back out. But the sentinels are still waiting. The mercury is still flowing. The silence is still holding its breath. Sleep well tonight. Be grateful for the open sky. Be grateful for the air you breathe. And be grateful that the only walls around you are the ones you call home.